Welcome to the next part of our camper rebuild. We're going to start with the wiring now. With the wiring, we have a variety of things that we're concerned about. We have obviously 12-volt systems. We have tail lamps and marker lamps. I have 110-volt systems on board as well. So there's a lot of stuff here on the table I've been collecting over the last little bit. We're going to head over here to the camper and get ready to start putting these things in. We're going to start out with the tail lamps. Running lights, the first thing that we get wired in, and then we're going to move on to the power panel. This is a 12-volt, 110-volt converter inverter that will allow us to charge a lead-acid battery or lithium-ion. And we'll be going through each one of these things, including all of the new LED lights inside, USB chargers, all the basic stuff. We just want to make sure that we don't get any wires crossed and we don't create any lightning. Actually, all kidding aside, we're going to get started on this. I'm excited because we're basically going to take this 1970 camper and make it 2023. LED lights inside and out, USB plug-ins, different style, one of those diesel heaters in it, and a converter inverter box that will allow us to charge modern style batteries. So gonna be a lot of work for me, a lot of decisions to make, a lot of time. Wiring doesn't go very quickly. So it's about 7:30 in the morning. I've already made a run to Lowe's and picked up more wire just to be on the safe side, and we're going to begin. So come join me. So this part of the wiring really kind of begins here in this corner of the camper. On slide-in truck campers, the plug for the 12-volt power coming in, tail lamps, running lights, etc., typically will come in and out of this corner of the camper. Just to look here, these are the original 1970 wires that were part of the camper. They start here, and then they have to get up to the roof for various things. We have the wiring the way they laid it branching out. We see that the red wires, a power wire, going to a light switch here, a light switch there, and a light switch in the back. So there were 3 lights that were 12 volt on this circuit, and then all the other wires that are just kind of coming around, going around. When we come inside, basically this kitchen sink is the kind of main area where everything's going to come up and go. This is the location of the original wires going out of the camper. Last night before I got started, I went ahead and painted these boxes in here white, little Kills primer, and then some white paint. I removed the water tank for now. I did this to make these bright in here and clean, so when I start doing my wiring, everything has got a nice neat place to go, and I don't have any reason to pull it back out to deal with the painting. So if we go, the wiring kit that I bought off Amazon comes with, this is probably 20 foot of wire, not enough, 20-25 foot of trailer wire. Okay, I don't know what the standard is, but a little bit more than a foot there. And the trailer wires temporarily put in place. Yeah, he's helping me out. So I've connected everything, put a fuse in here on my lawnmower battery. Let's back up, bud. And I've plugged it in to the location this will go. Now, this can also be converted to a 7-pin connection. Don't worry about that right now. So let's take a look, see what we've got. There's our left front amber. There's our left rear running light. I've got it straight on brake lights right now. So brake lamp, rear clearance light. This is a very cool light. This goes from running lamp to third brake lamp. A little bit more safety there. That lamp is burning. Burning is a good word in this situation. It's good. Come around here. This is good. And those are all good. I'm trailer plug that's outside coming in. I've got those Scotch locks, which is the same type of wiring technique they used in 1970. It's acceptable today. I've got the Scotch locks locked in. taking the parking lamp and the ground up front. Now, in a perfect world, the parking wiring is brown. I could not find brown wire anywhere for excess, so it's yellow. I know what's going on. There you go. Now you know what's going on. Let's take a look up here. Channeled through. Yeah, I've got my 110 wire getting ready to go as well. That's going over. That wiring runs along here through the cabinet and into this rat's nest. Believe me, all this will get cleaned up. There's some old wiring in here still. This doesn't even belong to this current wiring here. I got to get all that out. All this will be pulled and tightened up. I chose to do it this way as opposed to running it through some of the other walls to run the risk of obviously hitting it with a staple. All right, so aiming upward though, all of this will be hidden behind the sheet metal that goes on the front end, and that's how we're getting our lights. So that part of the job is done, pretty quick and easy. I'm going to take a lunch break, come back out here, and figure out the next circuit we're going to run. All right, next circuit, this will be officially be the first camper circuit, is going to be for the fans. In here, this is where the icebox goes, and I've got an immediate space going up to the roof from here already cut open, which is going to be my go-to to get the wire dropped in for this. We have to run a power and a ground. It'll be fused into the fuse panel. So this one should go pretty straightforward. It's for the 110 volt system on board, 120, whatever you're comfortable with. This is what they have in here. This Murray system. I find it fascinating. It's guaranteed for life. 1870, right there. You think we can make a warranty claim on it, if need be, at this point? Well, I don't know. So I have an absolute mess going on here. Shocking, right? I'm really wired today. Dad jokes. Anyway, just want to share something with you. You may find this interesting. Campers, DC wiring and AC wiring are different in a lot of ways. Typically in a car, typically in a lot of 12 volt applications, DC, red means positive plus, black typically means ground. So what do you do when you get a 12 volt DC component like this and it has white and black wires? Well, what you'll find with campers is that because they share both AC and DC wiring, it's very common in the camper to also use AC style wiring. So black, which you might think ground, if you're in the camper and you're fooling around, is not ground, it's power. So, you know, I have choices when I am doing the wiring. Do we want to run it to match up with the light? You know, kind of how do we want to go with it? And basically, I think what I'm going to do is run with matching up the light system. So all these lights that I use that have the rocker switch on them, these LEDs, I'm going to run them black and white according to the wiring that I have, and black being power, white being neutral or ground. So I know it seems strange, but that's the way that it is. I've got them soldered and heat shrinked. That way I don't have a loose connection up here anywhere that's going to come back to haunt me. I'll leave a little excess up here so that you can tug it down in case I have to replace this lamp. So that will complete that circuit on this end. So this little jewel, he's got to go. Just a total non-match for what's up here. Not sure what, I don't know, I could be wrong. That could be an original part. I don't know if there's any dates or anything on it. But it just seems so out of place with these lights, which I do believe to be original, but they are coming out. So, okay, now good time to test our lights. I'm currently running everything just through my little 12 volt battery. I've got it fused just in case it goes wrong. Let's see what happens. Boom. and he said, "Let there be light." And there was light, and it was good. Oh yeah. And boom. All right. This is the brightest this camper has been since forever. Since forever. Never been this bright. Actually a little scary now. Oh my gosh, you can see the flaws. The flaws. Anyhow. Awesome. Totally awesome. I absolutely can't believe all the light that's in here. This is really, really awesome, but I got more. So these guys are made to go under a cabinet. I have 4 of them. Maybe one over there, one over here, so that you've got light in the food prep area as well as over the sink. I'll tell you the funny thing, guys. So in Alaska, where we are, come summertime, it's like daylight all the time. And if you're still awake when it's starting to get twilight, then you're really something. I don't stay up that late anymore. So really, we're only going to really camp in this mostly in the summer, and this is more light than we're already going to have anyway. But under sink prep light probably makes sense regardless. So let me get to that one. About that. Here. How about that? And then this one. So there's your, that is some light. You can see where I put a nail right through the side. Anyway, yeah, there we go. There is a light that's bright. Good work surface. Water pump. This is a monster. I mean, this is a monster in the world of 12 volt. Way too much, but sometimes my motto is some is good, more is better. So we're gonna get this thing mounted in here. I've tested, put the water tank back in, it'll fit. So it's gonna go down here. This is gonna be on its own dedicated circuit. All right, now you're gonna like this, maybe, but I just think that's cool. Little blue light, let you know that thing's on. This is the next phase here where I've added USBs. We've got a USB here by the sink because there's a step that goes here. It'd be a nice place to charge phones and stuff. I've got one over here so that you can lay something on the table, maybe Bluetooth speakers or whatever over here. And then up in the bedroom area, there's going to be a USB here, along with some other things that are getting ready to come on here real soon. Starting to sort my wires here little by little. Just came back from another trip to Lowe's because my RV outlets didn't, the order actually got canceled on me. So we're going to go ahead and use regular outlets in here. I'll show you how that's going to go shortly. But basically, that's my next phase, is to run all of the 110 volt wires throughout. And then we're going to get back to this control panel and start getting it wired. Show you what we do with that. So I'm not running an air conditioning system on this or any high amperage draw. So this, a regular 15 amp wall socket will be fine. This is a pretty nice unit. It's waterproof, water resistant, what have you right here. And there you go. So this is what we're going to have that goes through the coach wall here. And then it's got a nice rubber gasket on it. It's got the plug-in there. So all the DC things, or the primary DC things, are connected now. I've got our panel installed, and it is testing right now. Everything appears to be operating well. I don't have the 110 out yet. I'm working on that. This is powered up. I know you're not supposed to work on things while they're powered up, but I'm actually not working down there. What I'm doing right now is I'm running my 110 volt run This is a GFI outlet here. It's actually a RV outlet GFI. Anyway, it's going to be the first one in the run, and it's going to be mounted right up inside this cabinet. That will protect all the circuits south of it. So this will be number one, and then I'll work my way through and daisy chain up to the front. Continuing on with our circuits, that's our 110 volt GFI. It is not currently connected, but it'll eventually be connected to the panel. It goes up, over, and into this cabinet, and has an outlet right here. That outlet then turns around and comes back out, down, and over to here. Probably could have saved, when I think about it, probably could have saved some wire right here, but either way. So now I'm building a junction box in to take wire up to the sleeper, and then we're going to come across into here. So this guy, I'm just getting him wired together. Once those things are twisted on, they get crimped, and that's good for a high vibration type environment. So they stay put. That's going to get screwed right here to the wall, and then we're just going to keep moving on with those things going around. Here we have our existing construction box. I love these things. You cut the hole, run your screws in, and it locks into the wall. So update on the wiring. I'm having to do a little bit of carpentry work again because this area here needs to be in place in order for the boxes and stuff to go in wiring up here. Hey buddies, hey buddies. Are you here to help me, or are you here to help yourself to something to chew on? I don't know. All right. This seems like forever for me. For you, you know, you're just kind of riding along. So it's been a week since I started the electrics, maybe a little more, and just not making a lot of progress. And one of the things obviously that slowed me down was building out the deck up here because of the wiring that had to be hidden behind the headboard. Okay, I'm on to plan B, plan C, plan 12, 14. Front wire harness. It worked, but I'm not happy with the fact that I gouged out my fresh wood in order to create the channels to run the wires in, which is the way the factory did it in 1970. I even reused in this original framing a hole to skirt it through and around. But this is going to prove to be problematic, way too difficult when the metal siding goes on, fiberglass, metal, whatever I end up doing here. This is just going to create a really difficult pain point to try to connect the marker lamp and scoot that wiring back in that groove. So this inside is getting repaneled. I'm going to let this sleeping dogs lie now and just not worry about this, and instead focus on getting the siding on, insulation siding, and then I'm going to come through the inside from the outside, inside drill, run the front harness inside the sleeper, tuck it away behind the new paneling. So there you go. There's a chapter that's been rewritten. Just love these old construction boxes. After you come in here and scribe out your spot, you're gonna cut the hole. And hey baby, you gonna help me out? Thank you, sweetheart. And you just put your box in. This thing is like magic. Absolutely like magic. Then when you find your drill that's hiding in here, it's a screw gun when you have a Phillips head on it. It's a drill when you have a drill bit on it. Anyway, we're just gonna come in here and tighten up the wings. Like so. And now you have an electric box where you didn't have one before. Hey buddy, thanks for your help, I appreciate it. I do, I super appreciate that. Anyway, gonna go ahead and get a outlet in here and then one more outlet behind it, and the 110 volt will be done. So in here, when we daisy chain off these outlets, we can come down here, as you've seen, drop in. There's a new one that I just installed. And up inside the box here, I'm down and around to this back one. By the way, I screwed up, and I should have bought one more black one. I can swap this out later, but right now I just want to complete the circuit. Keep it out of the way. So like magic, I have another circuit in while you were munching on some popcorn. What I did here is I pulled another line. I'm calling this one Accessory because I really don't know what we're going to do with him yet. Pulled another line, brought him in here. I just capped that. There's nothing really going on there. Just bent it and capped it. These are my accessory, my interior lights, the fan, and all this will get tucked up nice and tight. I want that where I can access it. Those are just DC wires, 12 volt. And I have no idea what additional things might happen in the future. If I get a powered vent fan over the stove, or if there's exterior lights that I might want to power up and, you know, switch on from here. So went ahead and ran that now because it has to go up through the ceiling. Ran up over and I dropped it into the old AC receptacle that was here. AC outlet that had a light and a plug. This is just in here to hold it. It's a holding space for the future accessory, whatever that may be. A lot of campers nowadays use these goofy magic light strips that change colors and whatnot. It's not a bad idea. These produce some pretty decent light. If mosquitoes are an issue, you switch it over to the yellow hue, and supposedly mosquitoes aren't not as attracted to yellow light. I don't know if I buy into that. But in this package, oh my gosh, it's getting to be a mess in here. So in this package, we have the light strip itself, and then let's see what we have in here. Things, we got things in here, and things, and things, okay, and things, lots of things. Okay, so I'm going to have to probably read the instructions after I screw it all up, but it appears that this is something here, and this is something. This must be how we get power into it. We'll deal with that when the time is right. The strip itself. So I think what I'm going to do is set this up where that LED strip. Got a helper here. Got a helper over there. Yeah, they like to drag things out and chew on them. It's great. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to stub this thing out. Definitely not going to run it right now because ultimately that thing just uses the adhesive and then you put it on. But I think what I want to do is have the lights along the bottom of this porch once it's put together. That should generate a nice glow here. And I may also run connections and run the lights under the edges of it so it lights up the side of the pickup truck bed. So we'll see. But anyway, that's the next thing, is to figure that thing out. But probably going to sit down and read the instructions, figure out how I need to connect it, see if I have all the parts I need to make that work. Okay, I looked at the pictures. I think there's words associated with pictures. I don't need to see the words. I just need to see the pictures. Got my helper there. Oliver, the dog helper. No, the people helper. The camper boy. Camper dog. Yeah. You have no idea what I'm saying, do you? Nope. No idea. Here we go. I pulled a little fast one on you in between because I added a little voltmeter when you weren't looking. Pretty cool little gadget. With that being said, here is our new outdoor light switch. It's going up to the control module right there. And there is our freak mode party time light assembly. I don't yet know if I'm going to poke it out the bottom here, run it up and all the way around the back of the camper, or if I'm just going to run it at the top. There's plenty of light there to do a variety of things. So I'm going to loosely kind of leave this in place here. I'm going to try out the remote. According to the instructions that I may or may not have read, we're going to pull out this plastic here. And now I can also just turn them on and off using the remote dial. I think there's our mosquito light, right? I think. And then there is all kinds of fun. So who would have thought? Diesel heater install time. So my model, I was limited on which one I could order because there's only a few that will actually ship to Alaska. I also found out after I purchased it, my local RV place actually has these in stock for a few more dollars, but it would have been okay, obviously, to buy it local from them. But, you know, these are all pretty much the same as what I'm learning. We'll see what happens when we get it going, but my choices were limited. Talked to my wife about how we wanted this to be in here, where in the camper it made the most sense, and where I was originally thinking is where she's thinking as well. I'm going to drop it in here. I'm setting up my first hole. It came with no instructions, but YouTube is full of videos with these things. I watched one of them and fast forward. Okay, fine. So anyway, this is where we're going with the heater. It'll allow me to have my fuel tank directly inside the propane box on the other side and drop my lines underneath. So anyway, cross your fingers for me. I'm going to drill that hole. I'm going to cut this hole out, the inner ring, try to, and then that'll allow this thing to sit. This plate is going to sit something like so and allow the fuel line exhaust intake to go through. And I guess this plate helps insulate against the wood, or not insulate, but keep you from being right against the wood with these components. So this guy's going to go down. I'm just going to raw drop the fuel line and everything out the bottom, like so, perhaps. There we go. So it's gonna go something like that. Okay, we are testing the Chinese diesel heater. It's mounted in the cabinet. It's wired into our control panel. Pump is primed. I've been checking. Temperatures are starting to come up. Yep, 107 degrees, 139. She's coming on. It sounds like a jet firing up. 181, 197, 208, 211. She is cooking, baby. So let's see what's happening here. $91 degrees, 94 degrees, 98 degrees, 102 degrees, 106 degrees, 110 degrees, 114. Holy smokes. That is heating up extremely nice. Come give it a feel.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cranking. It's cranking. Of course, I'm filling the garage with this diesel exhaust right now, but it is off to the races.
Nice.
Lots of heat.
Yeah, that feels really good.
It does, doesn't it? And 283 degrees, 368 degrees, 438 degrees, 453. Yep. gonna go ahead and shut it down. It says press hold for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. She's off. That was a good enough test for me to avoid building up too much heat out here right now. At 438, 450 degrees or something on there. I guess the fan's just running to cool it all out, right? Housing's cold. I'm super impressed. I think that would have been a lot of degrees in here fairly quickly. That is pretty neat. All right, well, on to the next task. We're finally going to wrap up the primary electrical part of this project. And the way I'm going to do that is make these these solar panel connectors, a part of our inverter converter. These things are really handy. They're actually built with a weather pack in. They're made to go, obviously, for solar panels outdoor. They can run with a 4-gauge wire, what they're pretty standard with. And these guys have a male-female connector on the inside. This particular kit I ordered off Amazon was $25 or something, and which is pretty amazing. And it came with 25 connectors. We only have 6 primary circuits in here, so more than enough. But I'm going to jump into our control panel, power this. I'm going to power down the camper, install these, so that I have a way of connecting and disconnecting the control panel for service. And if you're adding future circuits, it makes it easy to go in and add circuits. I'll show you what I mean once we get in there. So we're going to do that. That's going to wrap up the primary connections, and then I'm going to go through and start cleaning these wires up and move on to the next part of the project. So this one is USB. We can obviously put more things on these connectors as time goes. A bit of a process here. You're gonna make sure, remember, kind of like with heat shrink, you remember to put that over or you are in trouble. And then it helps to have the correct tool for this. It's not, oops, it's not the end of the world if you don't have the tool. The tool lays down that proper twist that you get on a factory looking connection with that inner and outer, and then you're going to slip it into the connector, make sure it snaps, and bring up your boot. That makes one side of it, and then on the camper side, remember, we gotta put the sleeve over. The smart guy would have cut the end of the wire back after putting the sleeve over. Okay, that's factory. Snap. Want it to engage. Okay, snapped in. And now we bring up the bottom. Snapped in tight. And there we go. Snap. And then I'm just putting my labels closer. To the connector. Can't hurt to have multiple labels, you know. USB. This panel has a lot more horsepower than I am engaging. There you go. That's it. So I'm going to do this power connector and a few other things and then sew all this up nice and clean. This one here is coming directly off my battery. Out of the camper top here. And then gonna again do the same thing. Get this one connected. So welcome to the wrap-up of the electric on this. So it's really not done, but it's done for the moment so that I can move on to the next phase. Let me go ahead and just give you a tour of what we did over the last, really almost 2 weeks. So come along and I'll show you from back to front. Starting from the outside, we have our 110 volt plug-in from the shore connection or the shore power. Again, I opted for just a regular style 15 amp plug because we're not pushing air conditioning, we're not pushing major electric appliances in here, and it's just so much easier to not use any sort of an adapter and plug in just a good old regular drop cord. So that's the first thing on the outside. Obviously, when I skin the camper, we'll drill a hole and that'll be an outside attachment. Around back, all the electric is tested and functional, and I have my stubbed out wires for my markers waiting. And I just love the third brake light that came with this. It's both a running light and a brake light like you have in a modern vehicle up high. So that helps with safety, and it looks good back there too. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that going on. Again, our wires are just hanging out here for the tail lamp area and our side lamps. And in the front, I am going to go ahead and stub all the wiring in from the inside. Really decided it was a terrible idea to notch the body and drop the wires in the way that the original 1970 Mansfield had done it. So we're going to go different. Let's take a look on the roof. So upstairs here, we have the remnant of the wiring of what I've added. Back here is a ceiling light for the closet and the hallway. We have the wiring here going to the fan. These fans are great. Over here we have wiring coming to lights. And I also brought over an accessory wire right here. This one's coiled up inside. You'll see when we get inside a little bit more. Up front, I have wiring going to the front fan and of course to the light. That's it. It's a lot cleaner. The original wiring had 110 volt stuff dragging across here to and from. We've eliminated that, really cleaned this up. So this is ready to tuck everything in place, drop the insulation in, and get the paneling up here, which is the next phase up on the roof. Let's head inside. All right, coming inside, the first thing that we see is the electric panel. This is a WFCO panel. It is both lead acid and lithium battery compatible for charging. It has a nice little drop down feature here. We've got our 15 amp. They recommend a 30 amp coming in. Again, not using a lot of power here, not a big deal. I could put a 30 amp breaker in here, but I'm not ever going to run anything more than that. Plus my cord only supports 15 amps. So 15 amp in, this is the 15 amp that goes to the outlets in the camper. We have our fuses here. These are really nice because if a fuse blows, it'll glow, let you know which circuit has blown. Pretty handy. Just a top tip for you, this 40 amper down here, you have to have that fuse in. If you don't, it won't charge or anything. It did come with that, which was a good thing, but I've seen online where some people didn't have that fuse and didn't understand why their battery wouldn't charge. So that is your panel. It has a fan in it. It'll kick on when you really put a load on. And matter of fact, let me see if you can hear that. That fan is actually running right now because we're drawing quite a bit of DC amps to run all the lights in here. So here's something I did. Like it or hate it, I don't care. It's my camper, not yours. But I went ahead and ran everything on a swing door here. I will be taking this out, cleaning, painting, trimming, whatnot in the future. This particular setup allows me to get in and do whatever I need to do, including my bus bar right here for grounds. Really, really easy to get to. And of course, I put the quick connects on it. So all this is nice and neat and tucked in. Really easy to service. There's even obviously some storage room if need be in here. But I thought that that would be better to give it the look of a cabinet, have my box down here, and make it serviceable. I am probably going to put a main throw switch here to shut down 12 volt power. That'll come later. So up here we have our switches for exterior lighting, which is the colorful remote control party light. I have this handy little gadget bought off Amazon. It was about $7. This is handy because it lets you cycle through if you want to see percentage charge and volts. But what I really like about it is I can turn it off, and that was an important feature for me. The heater, we'll talk about that in a moment, but this is just a main cutoff for it. This is a temporary battery out of my John Deere tractor, and in the future it'll have a larger battery in here. Hopefully a nice lithium ion to save weight and give me a lot of amp hour power. Inside the closet, the wiring you see below there goes to the tail lamps. That goes to the running lamp up above. And in this corner here, I have a lot of things tucked away, including that control box here for the party lights that will be my exterior lighting. Let's move on to this cabinet. This one is our Chinese diesel heater. This thing absolutely blows my mind at how well it works. But it fits in here like a glove, and going forward I will be putting a shelving bottom in here, and that's going to make that useful space as well as obviously the heater. I need to put a vent on this door down below here so that it can suck air in while it passes air out. This is the back of the box that holds the diesel tank as well as the propane. This is our ice box here. I've included additional wiring throughout this in case I ever go to I don't even know if I can get one to fit here, but if I go to a 3-source fridge, a DC propane AC fridge, we've got the ability to power it up from here. But this is just our bulk wiring behind the scenes. This is the control panel for the diesel heater. It also, power that up so you can see how it lights up. It also has a thermostat on it, so it's nice to see what the temperature is in here once that's up and rolling. So that's what we've got for the diesel heater. Moving around here, our wiring is up over tucked in, and that is our junction block right there for the 110 volt, because I have an outlet up here in the original location, as well as outlets elsewhere in the camper, and we needed that in order to splice those connections. I'm thinking about one of those pop-up power outlets like you see on the new ones. If I do that, I can put it right here on the countertop and wire it in here and then have the pop-up power outlet here. Although we're only going to use that on generator and the rare occasions that we're somewhere that we're plugged in. But anyway, this will be a cabinet for storage. You'll see this in future videos, what I'm doing here. And underneath here is our wiring where the trailer wire comes in, as well as the power moving up, down, and around. We're all tucked in. We have our water pump down below. Over here, I have my outlet for the USBs. Okay, so they're on their own circuit. When I click that on, the USBs power up. Each one has 2 USBs. You do this on a switch because that draws current just inverting to 5 volts like that, and we don't want to draw current if we don't have to. Love my little water pump switch here. This is great because, hey, it says water pump and it glows when it's on. That's wonderful. Closer look up inside, I got the headboard in. That allowed me to wire up the additional outlet as well as my USB up here in the bedroom area. And I ended up with a spare cubby right here that'll be closed up later. I may make this where I can come and go, have not decided. Up in the cabinet, I showed you on the ceiling, the wire coming across. This is just accessory wire. I have no plans right now for it, so I tucked it up inside, but this one is up here where it can run back into the closet, through the cabinet into that back closet, or whatever else we might want to power up here. Speaking of power, I've got my power outlet here coming into the bunk cubby, and then we come around. I've got another one right here, and then I had a white one initially, and now I have the black one in here that matches. So we've got lots of opportunity for power. Again, we'll never really run much. If I am on a generator or plugged in, my biggest thing will be probably a coffee maker in here. That's probably about it. This wall has all kinds of framing in it to make it difficult to get through. If I do put a television in here and hang it on this wall, what I'll do is run the wire through the wall and drop it down here and plug it in. And if I get a DC television, there's my accessory port to put over here and put a DC television in. These lights are great, great bright. Really like them. I wanted to initially have rocker switches to turn everything on, but even though my wife is, 5 foot tall, she can reach this no problem. We've got a lower and a higher version. The fan, pretty neat stuff up here. These things really move. It's not very loud, and I'm pleased with this decision on fans. I did go with 2 because the idea is you could actually be drawing air in one and pushing it out the other. So that's our inside. I do have some more lights if I choose to use them, but really I think that we have plenty right now. I'm very happy with the amount of light. Let's take a look at the diesel hookup. The exhaust pipe is temporary until I can get this thing kind of fixed, set up, and figure out where it's going to go into my vehicles. So that is just there so it doesn't start a fire right now. And in here, the diesel tank fit. I put the propane tank in to make sure we had room. And the diesel tank, it's tight, but it fits. I did take my heat gun, warm that up, and bend the neck over so that I could get it in. So got a little bit of diesel in there right now. When I tested it, that's fine. I'll come back in here and smooth these flanges, and we'll get the cover door on it when it's time. So that is a real overview of everything with the electrics. We managed to avoid any lightning, but we now have lightning in here. We have instantaneous flick a switch, and you've got power. Next part of this video series will be the roof and siding. In between then, I do have some plumbing things going on and other items. We went with this dual burner stovetop, and by the way, it plugs in when you're in shore power so that you can light your igniter. And you may or may not have noticed my GFCI breakers right here, and so it just plugs in and it lights up so you can just instant fire that stove. I do have an outdoor shower that I'm going to cut that wall and put in there. And yeah, so a little bit of stuff going on. Hopefully next time you see it, all this will look really fresh. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It gives me a lot of joy to see people commenting and watching. Thank you.